Welcome back, race fans, to the Valley of the Sun. I'm your host, Chris Rose, and I'm with Alex Matheny here tonight at Phoenix, and you're looking live at the ultimate proving ground where championship dreams are either found or they're turned to desert dust. So here in the semifinals, it comes down to these last few laps, 150 laps before the championship here. Phoenix is really unique, you know. It's got a little 1 mile dog leg that these drivers can use and make a little bit of an advantage here. But yeah, and I'm gonna bring us over here to Alex. Let him say hello to you guys. How you guys doing?
Good evening, everybody. I hope you've had a great start to your week. I'm excited for another opportunity to join my friend Chris here for this semi-final race of the season. We've got a pretty top points battle going into this race, and with only 2 races left in the season, it's going to get pretty interesting, to say the least.
Speaking of, we got Thomas Green out here up in front with a 10-point gap on Cedric Hunter, who's going to be looking to hunt him down like his last name here out tonight in Phoenix Raceway. It's only about a minute left in practice. We're probably about to head over to qualifying here soon, but before we do that, I'm going to finish off the top 10 right now in some of the standings. We've got Thomas Green, Cedric Hunter, Scott Ricard in third, Ali Fonseca in fourth, Noah Steele in fifth, Nolan Hicks in sixth, Brandon Gass in seventh, Larry Yingling also in seventh, tied for points with him. Cody Reed and Chris Stitz both tied for ninth as well. All right, so let's bring us over, take a little bit of a peek on some of the people who've been practicing. Let's bring it to Cody Reed, who's on track right now. Phoenix is one of those unique tracks. You know, it's kind of difficult to get the car right here. You know, 1 and 2, it's a little hard to get it rotated and keep it off of 1 and 2. At least I have big issues with that here, but I know in these Xfinity cars specifically, it's going to be super hard to get the car actually rotated. As you see, the one car gets a little bit into the wall there, but getting the car rotated here is definitely one of the biggest things to do. It looks like the checkered flag is just flown on practice here. And now we're just going to wait to see who comes out on track here for qualifying. But yeah, Alex, what are some of your thoughts on Phoenix, man? I mean, Phoenix is like I was mentioning, is one of the harder tracks for me. So I'm not sure what you feel about it, but I know it can be difficult here.
Sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I kind of miss the old layout, at least for the start finish line being on the, what used to be the front stretch. But honestly, it's so exciting to see restarts here. Cars fan out, 7, 8 cars wide, just going crazy now that they can, there's no air quote track limits here. You can run wherever. So restarts are super exciting and crazy to watch here, but they definitely bring some carnage at the same time.
Absolutely, and you can see Nolan Hicks actually using a little bit of that dog leg there on his start of his qualifying laps. We're probably going to see a lot of drivers backing it up into 3 and 4, sitting on the top line, trying to get as good as a run as they can out of the corner, then dropping all the way down to that inner wall, just trying to pass the start finish line, cut as much of the track as they can to make it as straight as possible to get a good entry into turn 1. And we see Nolan Hicks is good for, I believe that's a 27.8. It's not too bad here. And Scott Ricard is able to top him at a 27.09. Let's go and check him out. So Scott's gonna be coming around the same part of the track as Nolan was. They were pretty similar paced on their position on their qualifying, and Nolan also just rolls the bottom here. That's gonna be the part of the corner that is going to be the most important. If you're able to roll the bottom well in 3 and 4, you can get a good run off without the car sliding too far up, and you can get a good run off. But that's a good lap for Scott Ricard. He's putting down, I think he put down, it's not showing, 27.09. I see it right here on the SDK. He's able to put that down for him here. Ali Fonseca though with a 27.02 leading the pole, and just as I say that, Sam Garcia is able to top him at a 26.9. See if we can get a peek at him. Yeah, you see him arc early to the apex in 3 and 4. If you can get down to that apex like a little bit earlier than normal, you can, and you're able to slow it down into where the left side of the car will stay on the yellow line, you can get back on the throttle pretty early, and the car will just send straight up to the wall, and you can get a good run off there. Let's check some more competitors in qualifying here. We're gonna click over to Mike Miller here. Let's see if we can get an actual camera on. There we go. It's going to be coming out of 3 and 4. Gets right up close to that wall there. That's what I'm talking about. As soon as you can get the power down in 3 and 4, you can get real close to that wall and get a lot of speed out of the car. But it seems like just about everyone's going to be finishing their 2 laps here. We have Larry Yingling, who's still on track. How he's doing. He's still on track here. Just finishing his first lap. He's going into 1 and 2 of his second lap. Looks like he's able to get a good entry into 3 and 4 there, rolling the bottom just like I was saying. And yeah, just before that white line, if you're able to get back on the throttle, you can really get some power out of the car. Let's see what that lap was good for. Oh, it looked like, I believe he had some contact there on that lap. May not have counted for him, but it's going to be Larry Yingling's qualifying lap for you, and I believe that's everyone. So just taking a bigger picture here at the Trinity Racing League, like I was saying, Thomas Green is out there in first by not that far of a margin. It's only 10 points on Cedric Hunter here, so we're probably going to see a lot of them a lot of those two battling it out, seeing if they can get as much position as they can and run as clean as a race as they can for them. But Phoenix is notorious. You can either have a really long run here on not have many cautions and have people split up a bunch, or you can have a lot of carnage and turn one really close to that with a dog leg. It's going to be checkered flag for qualifying here, and drivers have a 5-minute warm-up here at Phoenix Raceway, and as they do every week here at the Trinity Racing League. And sometimes it throws me off. I'm not used to it, but drivers are going to be going out here with the 5-minute warm-up, getting some laps down, getting a little bit more familiar with the track, make sure they have everything down, their checks and balances. So we're going to see that here in a moment. Alex, do you have any predictions of who's gonna be out here doing the most here tonight? You know, it's not always the most exciting to just only look at the leaders. You know, sometimes you got some big movers out here tonight. Anyone you have any of your eyes on here tonight?
Well, not in particular. I don't know. This could be anybody's race here. I'm curious to see, as we're winding down in the season with such a close points battle wrapping up the season here, what kind of playoff or championship implications we might see.
Yeah, you definitely might see some people ruffling some feathers, being a little bit aggressive. I say it every week, but I like to see some aggression. But you know, it's definitely about that time. If you're anybody like Cedric Hunter or Scott Ricard, you know, you're gonna want to be a little bit aggressive here to try to get some positions and keep your points gap small to Thomas Green, especially if you want a chance at Vegas. If you run a good race, got to keep that points gap small, or even, you know, overtake him in some points here. I know Cedric Hunter last week at our in our post-race interviews was wishing for a little bit of bad luck on Thomas, but hopefully we don't see anybody acting on that. You know, that would not be cool at all. But the little bit of bad luck, I get it. Oh, let's take a look at some of these laps out here tonight. Josh Sawyer is actually going to have the best lap of warm-up so far. He has a 27.3, and Mark Labertone is not too far off him at a 27.5, almost 6. But it gives you a little bit of an idea of what the lap times are going to be out here tonight, and I believe a fuel run is around 60 laps. I'd have to get confirmation on that, but I do believe it's around 60 laps here. Let me see if I can get some confirmation for that here. This would actually be a great time to bring a driver up here to see if I can get a little bit of a conversation with them. Let's see who's in. Oh, looks like Thomas is all by himself. I'll get Thomas down here. I know we spoke to him last week, but we'll get him down here.
Hey, how are you, man?
How are you, Thomas? And I was just wanting to bring you down here to ask, what's your confidence level going into Phoenix here tonight? How are you feeling about the track?
Yeah, it's a track that I enjoy racing. It's I don't know. It's gonna be a little weird tonight. For me, at least, I'm a little kind of struggling to find some speed actually, and I feel like this might be the bad luck Cedric was wishing on me.
That's funny.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be good. I think it'll be a good race. The apron transition is definitely a lot rougher than I can remember it being before. So that's definitely gonna be something to watch out for on restarts. Definitely something for you guys to look at because it's going to be chaos on restarts. You kind of bottom out really hard and it almost sends you up the track. So for people that are coming back on the track, being on the outside lane, especially starting where I am in the outside lane, it's going to be a little scary to make sure that guys on the inside can transition back up nicely. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I'm hopefully just going to kind of bide my time and not over push myself and just kind of take it easy until I know kind of what the pace is of everybody. And I was listening to you guys talk. Actually, it really is anyone's race to win. So it'll be interesting how it plays out throughout the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting you're saying you're struggling to find speed, and I'm wondering if that's how it is with a lot of people tonight. But it also brought us to another point about going below that dog leg. It's good. I'm glad you brought that up because it is both drivers' responsibility to keep it clean coming up, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you go down there, you know that you're eventually going to have to, come back up and transition back onto the racing surface. And it's up to you to do that in a safely manner. And especially if people are going to be sitting at 3, 4, maybe we've seen 5 and 6 wide here in real life. So who knows what could happen. But yeah. Thank you, man.
All right, and yeah, we have the gridding starting. Let's see if I can bring the grid up here.
Something to touch on that he mentioned, that banking transition in the dogleg being pretty rough. That's something these drivers probably have to take into account. 'Cause once you've done that enough times, that can definitely cause some excess wear on the tires and might even damage the splitter if you just hit it at just the wrong angle.
Good point to bring up there. And sorry to cut you off though, Alex, but we got to get to some gridding here. I just figured it out. We got Ali Fonseca starting in first place in that number 24 machine. Nolan Hicks in second. Cedric Hunter in third. Samuel Garcia in fourth. Brandon Gass and Noah Steele in fifth and sixth respectively. Thomas Green, Scott Ricard, and Cody Reed in seventh, eighth, and ninth. And Clint Cox out here in 10th position. Now, Alex, if you want to do 11th through, I believe, 21, you definitely can.
Looks like we got Mike Miller starting in 11th, Chris Stitz starting in P12, Joshua Kanata starting P13, Joshua Sawyer P14, Ryan Kelly starting 15th, Thomas Walter 16th, Mark Labertrone 17th, and Josh Stovall P18. And Chris Stamper P19, Larry Yingling P20, and Aaron Krolick P21.
And yeah, that's going to be your grid out here tonight at Phoenix Raceway for the Battle in the Desert 150. As we see everybody starting to move off here. Let's get the camera switched up for them. get to see drivers coming around, getting their tires a little warmed up. Pace car goes in here way on the backstretch. Not a very familiar sight for the pace car to go in, but want something very unique to Phoenix Raceway. And we see everybody's forming up here, coming into 3 and 4. As the leaders enter 3 and 4, I believe the restart zone comes up very soon here, very quick, catches you off guard. And here you go, drivers hit the loud pedal. Green flag here at Phoenix Raceway for the Battle of the Desert, 150. And we immediately see Chris Stitz run up the track into Ali Fonseca. They make a little bit of contact at 1 and 2. You're going to see a lot of that here out here tonight. Probably some contact into 1 and 2. It gets real tight if you're running the bottom, but see a lot of people start to form out, get into line. 3 and 4, they duck down bottom, try to keep it safe, see if they can get as much power up the corner, get as much of a gap on the big pack as they can behind. See Chris Stitz and still looking to the outside, trying to fend off Cody Reed here. Cody Reed might be able to look to the inside here, get to his rear left quarter panel. Might send it here on the inside of 3 and 4. Probably one of the best places to make a pass here. You can be pretty defensive on the outside of 3 and 4 here, as we see Chris Stitz able to get the power down pretty well. But you know, if you give up the inside of 3 and 4, the inside car usually has the dog leg, able to get a little bit of an advantage into turn 1 and 2, as we see Cody Reed just barely able to sneak by Chris Stitz for onto the backstretch. Saw a little bit of contact between the 24 and 50 of Sam Garcia coming out of 3 and 4. Looked like the 24 just got a little bit tight coming up, and they were unfortunately got a little bit of contact, but able to get through it, able to keep everything clean and keep their cars in relatively good shape. See both lead drivers electing to go down to the dog leg. Looks like Ollie was trying to be a little bit defensive on Sam Garcia, try to keep a little bit more time into 1 and 2. But you got to wonder what that's going to do to the tires after a long run, especially if you're going down there to the dog leg. You know, it's a little bit looser getting down. You got to put a little bit more wheel into it to actually get down to the corner. So might wear into the tires later into the run, but drivers are definitely going to be capitalizing on that in the beginning here. Starting to see some drivers get a little bit tight off of 1 and 2, get into the wall, might touch it a little bit. Don't want to send it a little too hard out of 2 though, because if you get into that wall, it definitely comes at you quick. It's like a punch in the gut if you hit that side of the car into the wall. It can really mess up your whole race. But we see Ollie able to develop a little bit of a gap here onto Chris Stitz, Cody Reed, and Sam Garcia, and I'm thinking that's just gonna be what we see a lot here tonight at Phoenix. Because once you start battling, you don't really gain a lot of time. So, and you're going to see a lot of these drivers trying to get as much time as they can and be as impatient as they can early in the race. Seems like pretty much everyone has formed up into a single file line, at least down to 10th position. Couldn't see anyone behind that, but at least down to 10th position. Looks like everybody's keeping it clean in single file line, except for the dog leg, of course. But it looks like everybody's keeping it clean, relatively safe. So we're getting to just about 10 laps in, Alex. How is it looking? What is your opinion on this race so far, looking at the top 10? Do you think it's going to be one of the cleaner races? Do you think it's going to be you know, maybe a little bit of a battle fest later, or you think everybody's going to keep it relatively respectable?
So far, it's looking pretty clean for the most part. I mean, the first couple laps will usually be pretty racy, pretty battly until they kind of, find their place, get comfortable into the, kind of the single file line we see going on right now. But I imagine as we get closer to the end of this thing, uh, with points being so important this late into the season, I'm sure it'll get very battly, a little, probably super aggressive towards the end.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if we're seeing just a lot of a product of tire saving here, because that's super important here at Phoenix. You can burn up the right front like it's nothing here. Especially, I mean, it is nighttime here, so it's a little bit harder. But the daytime, you can burn that right front up like it's nothing. So it might be a little bit of product of tire saving that we're seeing, and maybe a lot of drivers just trying to take it easy and keep it clean so they can be more aggressive later in the race, as opposed to early in the race, like I was saying before.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. You don't want to use up your stuff too early and then not have a competitive car at the end where it matters the most. Just, kind of get a feel for the track, take it easy for the first half or so where you can, and that way what limits you can push later on when you need to. After see somebody get to the wall off of twos back there.
Yeah, I believe that was a 13 of Ryan Kelly. Was getting or no, it was actually behind that. It was I believe that was actually Josh Duvall. But yeah, I'm telling you, that wall off 1 and 2 can definitely really gut your race if you hit it one too many times. So drivers just got to be careful about dinging that outside wall a little too many times. But yeah, going back to what you were saying before about the tire saving, yeah, you don't want to use your stuff up so early, especially in a race with no stages. You don't want to use your stuff up too early, because you're just going to end up slowing yourself up through the run, especially if you're going down and later and trying to get a little bit of a fuel run or maximize your fuel strategy. You don't want to use your tires up so much to where you're losing time towards the end of that run. You see Ali Fonseca going on the defensive here for Chris Stitz. Chris Stitz looked like he had a big run out of 1 and 2 on him. Look to the outside there because Ali was guarding the inside, and now we've got a reverse scene of 3 and 4 with Chris Stitz on the inside and Ali Fonseca on the outside. Ali Fonseca being very defensive here on the 17, just running his line, keeping clean and cordial to his own line, not letting the 17 have any sort of gaps and be able to stick his nose anywhere. Doesn't want to run him up to the outside of the track, because once you're up there, honestly, that's definitely the slowest way around Phoenix. As we see a big gap has formed between the top 9 and the rest of the pack. I believe that's Scott Ricard, the last car in that pack. You got to wonder if it's just a product of a bunch of battling behind. Let's see if we can go get a little bit of a sight on what's going on in the back. Yeah, it looks like just a lot more just aggressive battling, just people trying to get around people and move around and try to get as much time as they can here, and it seems to just be hurting them more than it's helping, unfortunately. You got Josh Duvall leading this secondary pack here. Tries to stay a little bit defensive on the outside into 1 and 2. Cedric was able to get a good run in from taking the dog leg here, but sticking his nose to the inside of the 1 here, trying to get the nose onto the rear left of the left quarter panel of the 1. Not able to get there though. Not able to get the run off the corner, and Josh is going to be able to be there on the inside to guard the 1, or guard the 7 actually. Cedric's going to be looking right to the inside of the 1 here. He's able to get his nose down this time and able to capitalize off the position. We're going to be able to see if the 1's going to be able to get a run off the corner here, as he does a really big run actually coming off into 3 and 4, able to be defensive onto the 7. You know, you can't be too impatient about that move. You do it too many times, you're going to burn up the tires, especially running that bottom line of 1 and 2. If you just stick down there the entire time, don't let the corner rotate the car a little bit, you're definitely going to be burning up those right side tires. So definitely a little bit of a difficult position to be in for the 7 car, especially trying to hunt down some positions for to close up the gap on Thomas here. But you know, it's just the product of racing here at Phoenix Raceway.
Big contact off of the wall there in the back of this pack this time.
Yeah, I didn't catch that, honestly. Was that the 86 of Nolan Hicks, or was it somebody behind him?
I can't tell. It was definitely more towards the back of the pack here. I'm not sure which car, but definitely a nice lick to the outside wall coming off of 2.
Yeah, and like I was saying before, drivers got to be real careful about that, especially with how delicate these cars feel nowadays. With the, I'm not sure if it was the update to the package that made them feel more delicate, but they definitely feel way more delicate nowadays than they used to. You can brush the wall one wrong way, and the car won't turn for the rest of the race. So it's definitely something to watch out for. Let's move our attention, though, back up to the front of the pack, as it seems like Chris Stitz is closing the gap on Ali Fonseca. Oh, and he's gotten pretty close to that rear bumper here. He's trying to see if he can get it driven a little bit better through 1 and 2, but it seems like that's where one of the places where Ollie's might be a little bit stronger, as he goes on the defensive here. Double block from the 24 going into 3 and 4 here. You know, the 17 might be a little bit peeved about that one, especially only being at lap 24. You know, might be a little bit peeved with that defense here, but it's going to be looking to the inside of him here at 1 and 2. Not able to get to the bottom of the 24 and 1 and 2, unfortunately, but able to form up behind him and see if he can get a little bit of that draft to try to get a little bit of a run into 3 and 4, but doesn't seem to work, doesn't seem to prevail for the 17. He's just going to be right behind the 24 throughout the rest of this lap, and Ollie's going to be looking low, try to get a little bit of a run into the corner, and he does, and he's able to get to the top, defend the 17, and he's going to make the 17 look and hunt for it. Definitely got a little bit of a battle brewing here at the front of the pack with the 24 and the 17. You know, we saw the 17 count down on the relative. I was watching it a little bit these last few laps when we were taking a look at the previous pack. Saw the relative counting down, and you got to wonder if the 17 is just a little bit faster than 24 here. But 24 is doing a great job defending. Going into lap 28, we still got Ali Fonseca here in the lead, and Chris Stitz seems to have calmed down a little bit with a little bit of the aggressiveness trying to get to the 24. He might have just thought a little bit better about it. Maybe thought to himself, oh, maybe let me capitalize and just do well in the corners and not really worry about him in front of me. It's probably what's going through the 17's mind here, as we saw the relative countdown even more in 1 and 2. But he's really hunting for that first position from Ali Fonseca. Able to get to the rear left quarter panel of the 24 here into 1 and 2, and he looks to have a little bit of the run off the corner, especially with Ali Fonseca brushing the wall a little bit there, able to send it into 3 and 4. And you know, we saw the outside line could be capable of a good defense here, and it looks to be just a really good defense there from Ali Fonseca. You know, Chris Stitz had the full advantage into the corner. I feel like his bumper might have been a little bit ahead of the 24, but 24 was able to keep the power down and out of the top side of 3 and 4, and able to defend him from the lead there.
Yeah, this intense battling is allowing Reed and the 25 car to just catch right up to these guys. He enters this battle now for the top 3 positions.
I literally was just about to say that last lap once Chris sent it to the inside. Yeah, it definitely gave a little bit of time for Cody Reed to catch up here. And like I was saying, once we start seeing battling some from drivers here, a lot of the solo drivers, a lot of the drivers who are just in a pack or in a single file line are gonna have the time to have an advantage and be able to make up some time on people who are battling. So it's not really what Ali Fonseca wants to see this early in the race, especially having multiple people right there behind him. Doesn't really want to have to battle Chris Stitz and lose some time here, but it could also be the same thing for Chris Stitz. You know, you don't want to lose that much time on third place. Seems to be keeping it cordial this lap on lap 32, going into 33 here at the Battle in the Desert 150. They kept it cordial through 3 and 4. Gotta wonder if maybe Chris is setting up for a move like this into 1 and 2, sends it to the bottom of the 24. Let's see if he's able to keep it on the bottom and keep it woed up from getting loose. And seems like he got a little loose from touching the paint there, and Ollie's able to get a little bit of a run off the corner and defend into 3 and 4 from him.
Yeah, that 25 car is right there on the back bumper for them two now. Just any sort of mistake from the front two, he's there to capitalize.
Yeah, and we saw him get right up there on the 17 at a 3 and 4, and now he's on the top line looking to pass the 17, and now the 17 is thinking, oh wow, well I just lost all this time battling the 24, and now I might as well just form up behind the 25.
A little bit of a position swap there.
Yeah, and now we see Ryan Kelly looking to the back end of Chris Stitz.
Yeah, the top 5 have all that battling between the top 3. The top 5, they're kind of all one little group of their own now. This could get interesting here in the coming laps because they're all pretty close together.
Yeah, the last two of the top 5 were definitely able to gain a lot of time on the battle of the front 3, and like you said, now we're kind of just in a battle of a little 5-car group right here, and as if there's just continued battling, you know, you got to wonder maybe the rest of the back of the pack that got split off in the beginning might be able to catch up and be a little bit of competition here.
Well, with the position that Reed's in now, being in second right behind Fonseca, you got to think with Stitz and Fonseca battling there for a while, Fonseca's car has probably got to be kind of used up now. And here comes Reed for, attempting to take the lead here. I got to think that puts him at an advantage in this position.
You know, you brought up a good point there. You know, the 17 and the 24 both are probably really used up, as we see a little bit of contact between the 24 and the 25 of Cody Reed. They're able to woe it up and keep it clean, but, you know, that gives an advantage for Chris Stitz on the inside. Gives a little bit of a push to the 25, move him up the track, get him unsettled a little bit, but he's just able to keep his position, and now he's looking to fend off Ali Fonseca on the outside. But you brought up a good point before with the 24 and the 17, you know, with all that battling as they go 3 wide here, their cars are definitely used up as compared to the other cars behind them.
Yeah, this is anybody's battle right now. One little slip up, and this could change, in an instant. As we see, looks like Green coming into the mix now in the 3 car.
Yeah, it looks like Thomas Green's catching up here, and, you know, that's our current points leader, and he's going to be hungry. He's going to be hungry trying to get up to the front, trying to at least get into the top 5, get as much points as he can to keep his lead. And, you know, I believe, yeah, Cedric Hunter is who's his second place competitor, who's back in 10th. You know, that's something that Thomas Green's probably really excited about, being up here in this battle. But he's also got to think, I don't want to send it too hard. I don't want to be too impatient in this battle to where a wreck might happen and I might be behind Cedric Hunter.
If I'm Thomas Green in this situation, I'm loving what I'm seeing out of my windshield. Everyone battling, racing super hard up here, using up their stuff, giving him the opportunity to capitalize as the race goes on. Everybody's car getting used up and not separating yourself from this ongoing battle. just capitalizing on it later in the race after everyone's kind of used up their stuff. You've got a fresher car overall. And I think he's in a great spot at the moment.
As he absolutely is. But let's bring our attention back up to the front with Ryan Kelly, our new race leader. It looked like he was able to get by the 24 of Ali Fonseca and the 25 of Cody Reed. I believe it was 2 laps ago. I might have missed it a little bit, but we've got a new race leader get his name to the top of the ticker board, and you know, we got that big bright blue 13.
It looks like he's pulling away a little bit while the rest of that top 6 there are still kind of close racing, battling a little bit. It's kind of allowing the rest of the lower top 10 to creep their way up towards the front and create a bigger group again towards the front of people racing around.
Absolutely, and it looks like Ryan Kelly might have actually been able to capitalize on his tires as well, saving from before. I believe he was in the back of the single file pack of the front 5 or front 6 that we had before. I believe he was in the back of that. And now what I believe we're seeing here is Ryan Kelly was able to capitalize on saving the tires while everybody else battled, and now he's seeing himself cycled up to the front, and now he's in the position of where he can just save tires while everybody else behind him battles, and still able to capitalize and expand that lead. Let's take our eyes away from Ryan Kelly, even though we just flipped back. We'll go right to the battle that's happening behind him. It looks like it's heating up. Ooh, I don't know if my mic was coming through, but I was really trying to cast on this battle here with Ali Fonseca, Cody Reed, and Chris Stitz. They were all really tight in 1 and 2. They're about 3 wide, and now they look to be doing around the same thing, going back into 1 and 2 here on lap 46. Ali Fonseca definitely getting the best bet out of that corner, able to get a good run off as well on the 25, while the 17 hunts down the 25 rear bumper, trying to get as much of a position as he can on it, with the 3 helping him. You know, it's always awesome to see drivers fan out on the dog leg like we do here. You know, I'm not sure if we're going to see another restart here. It seems like everybody's keeping it clean as Scott Ricard almost washes up into Thomas Green here. You know, it's awesome to see the drivers fan out on the dog leg. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if we're going to see it here with how clean these drivers are driving, but it is really early in the race, so I guess it's too early for me to tell. The 17 sent it into 1 and 2, almost washed up into the rear left quarter panel of Ali Fonseca, and you know that's going to be the problem here into 1 and 2. If you send it in a little too hard, trying to get past the person on the outside into the corner, you might wash up into them and cause a little bit of issues, but you don't want to see that here at Phoenix. Yeah, it seems like that middle of the corner is just getting real tight for a lot of these drivers, and I mean, it's honestly a good thing though. You can get a lot of turn and rotation and drive off if you're up there at the top of the. Oh my goodness, we saw a lot of issues right there for the 25, the 3, and the 24. They all just got real connected there. I think that was just a product of like 3 different blocks going on, and we saw the 3 had to get out of it there to not cause some issues into 3 and 4.
That was almost big.
Yeah, that would have been really bad for those 3 drivers, and all 3 of them are looking for points here, so that would definitely not have been it. As we see the 24 head into pit lane here.
Hope he got it slowed down in time. He was cooking going in there.
He was, but I believe he did. Yeah, he did. He's fine in there. I don't see any black flag showing for him. But let's switch our attention back up to the front of the pack. So you see Ryan Kelly has gotten a 1.5 second gap on Cody Reed and the rest of the pack here. And, you know, that's definitely a product of just the battling. And I forgot to ask Thomas Green when he was in here earlier in the beginning of the race what a fuel run is here, and I'm wondering if Ali Fonseca might be trying to run into a fuel strategy here. I'm not really sure, to be honest, but I believe it's around 60 to 70 laps of fuel for these drivers out here tonight. We see Scott Ricard trying to be a little aggressive on Cody Reed here, getting right, almost right next to him into 3 and 4. Tried to get there, but wasn't able to. And Chris Stitz is now getting held up by the 05 at the end of at the corner exit. And now we're going to see a battle between the 05 and the 17 coming up in these next few laps. Caution comes out here tonight at Phoenix Raceway. Let's see if we can't get what happened here. We see Noah Steele and Clint Cox looks like just getting together there into the start of turn 1. It looked like Noah Steele might have misjudged it. Let's see if we can get another look at that here.
Those are some hard licks. This looks like just a byproduct of the dog leg.
Yeah, I wish we could get back a little bit further, but it seems like Clint Cox might have just gotten just into the back end of Noah Steele. Let's see if we can get an in-car camera of this. So here we are on board with Clint Cox, and yeah, it looks like he just got connected with Noah Steele there into the corner, and unfortunately that's a big lick for both of them into the outside wall of 1 and 2, and that might be big damage. It's definitely big damage. I'm seeing meatball flags from them both, but unfortunate situation for those. Coming down onto pit lane, you got to wonder. I'm assuming drivers are going to be 4 tires as well as a full tank of fuel here. You're going to see a lot of drivers probably doing that exact strategy. You know, it's kind of like a free caution for them. It's been 50 something laps on tires. It's probably feeling a little bit tight, so you're definitely gonna see some drivers doing that 4 tire stop here. I believe Larry Yingling might have, let me see.
Doesn't look like he elected to pit with everyone else and is just going in for a solo run down pit road.
Yeah, I believe Larry may have missed pit entrance before. I'm not too sure, but you're gonna see him going down pit lane this time by. But yeah, that puts a little bit of a wrench in my theory earlier in the race about a green flag run. I mean, we had a good 54 laps of green there, so you know it might have been a good position for Ali Fonseca to be in as well if he didn't go in this time.
Well, we at least get to see one more of the crazy fan out restarts. This gives everybody a little bit of time to take a breather, refocus, kind of gather their bearings, just to do it all over again.
Yep, but that time's getting cut short here as we see the pace car cuts a hard left into pit lane, and now we've got the moment of anticipation for all these drivers just lining up. The nerves are running. Maybe not as bad as the first restart of the race, but the nerves are running here. Going to be going into 3 and 4, and the restart zone, like I said before, comes fast. So we're going to see a lot of these drivers hit the loud pedal very early. Green flag from Phoenix Raceway here. Cody Reed's able to take a green flag run for them, able to clear the 13 pretty well into turn 1 as we see some battles developing behind, and there's a caution. Somebody's spinning. I believe that was Josh Sawyer. I clicked on the replay a little fast, but seems like a product of cold tires, unfortunately. Just getting a little bit loose into the corner. Unfortunate spot for Mike Miller to be in. Nowhere to go for Mike Miller. Let's see if we can get an onboard CAD from him.
Looks like the 01 ended up getting into the wall a little bit too, trying to avoid a spinning 19 car.
Oh yeah, big hit into the wall from the 01 there, and yeah, just nowhere to go for Mike Miller, just straight into the 19 car for him, unfortunately, and doesn't seem to be too much damage for that 99 car though, so he might get off with a pretty good damage time for him. So as we normally talk about, you know, especially at a track like Phoenix, cautions breed cautions. You know, as soon as this one came out, as soon as everybody was back on the cold tires, we saw a lot of people. Well, not a lot, but we saw Josh Sawyer, you know, definitely getting loose into 1 and 2, and those cold tires here at Phoenix are no joke. Phoenix Raceway though, man, what a track. I mean, especially with the layout change that you mentioned earlier, I definitely feel like the racing nowadays is I might be a little better from before. It definitely is really weird of a track compared to how it used to be, but I think the racing is a little bit better here. Sometimes could be a little bit boring at Phoenix, as we see drivers do their choose rule here, going below the apron. Sometimes it can be a little boring here at Phoenix. Definitely not on iRacing, but in real life, when we see the Cup drivers go there, it can be a little bit boring sometimes. But it's definitely going to see some good racing out here tonight, especially in these Xfinity cars. They provide some really good racing.
Yeah, I feel like this new layout just changed the dynamics of the track as a whole, especially when it comes to restarts. That, you know, restarts never disappoint here. They're always super exhilarating to watch. Those drivers fan out super loud. It's a sight to see for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, you mentioning that, I'm gonna see if we can get a good camera here for these drivers once we come around to 3 and 4. Let me see if I can get a good shot here of these drivers fanning out. As they round 3 and 4 here, getting to the start finish line. Cody Reed hitting the loud pedal, leading the pack out, ducking right down below that yellow, and we do end up seeing pretty much every driver drop below that yellow line here. Provides a great run into 1 and 2 for these Xfinity cars here at the Battle of the Desert 150, but we see, I believe that's Nolan Hicks getting into the wall a little bit, coming off of 3 and 4, and now they're coming into coming off of 1 and 2, and now they're into 3 and 4. Trying to situate themselves and get into a good position to see if they can capitalize on the positions coming into the dogleg here. Cody Reed getting a comfortable gap on the pack behind, and you know, it's the same thing that we were seeing earlier in the race, where the leader is able to break away a little bit from the battling pack behind, and you got to wonder if we're going to end up just seeing that for the rest of the race. Ryan Kelly's looking hungry these past few corners. You know, coming off the start finish line, he hooked it real hard down to the bottom of the dogleg and sent it hard into 1 and 2. And you know, he looks hungry to get that lead back. And we've got another caution out here tonight at the Battle of the Desert 150, and it looks like Aaron Kralik has been caught up. Let's see what ended up happening to him. So Aaron Kralik is going to be in that 01 machine here. Looks like the 53 just misjudged the braking point. Unfortunately, sends it a little hard into the corner and gathers up the 01. But looks like the 01's able to keep it clean after the corner, and nobody's going to end up running into him. And seems like going to be getting off pretty scot-free for Aaron Kralik here.
Yeah, just a tough break for him at this point in the race, getting, just caught up in that last wreck that we just had, and then now this happening. That's definitely gonna set him back a little bit, but hopefully he can recover from it just fine.
Yeah, hopefully those two little bits of damage might not be too hard on the pit team to repair in pit lane, but anything can happen here, right? In iRacing. So, but it seems like Aaron's down there in pit lane. He's already on his way out after a 7-second pit stop, so doesn't seem like it was that much damage for the pit team to repair. Let's see if we can get another view on that with Chris Stamper's point of view. Yeah, looks like Chris Stamper is going to be running into the corner here. Oh, never mind. This is Aaron Kralik. Yeah. Here we go. Here's a view from Chris Stamper. Looks like, yeah, just misjudges the braking point. Doesn't expect the 01 to chop down, and unfortunately just ends up having contact with him in the corner.
Good job by the 01 for just locking it down and keeping it from hitting anything. That's about the best outcome you could hope for in a situation like that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like, especially if you're getting not that much rear left damage from that, best thing you could do is just lock it down, get some tires, go back in pit lane, and just hope nobody runs into you. So that is a fortunate outcome for Aaron Kralik. All right, drivers are starting to pack back up here for this third restart here tonight in the Battle in the Desert 150 at Phoenix Raceway. I believe it's going to be Cody Reed taking your start here. He was leading when the caution came out, so it's going to be Cody Reed taking the start here with Ryan Kelly next to him and Chris Stitz as well as Scott Ricard in row 2. Coming around 3 and 4, the 25 and 13. They're about to enter the restart zone here as the 25 hits the loud pedal. Green, green, green here at Phoenix Raceway. Entering lap 6-7. Everybody able to keep it clean through 1 and 2. Lots of battles developing behind, and I kind of want to take our attention here off the lead for a little bit to the battle between Thomas Green and possibly Cedric Hunter. They're getting a little closer on track, and with those two being so close in the points, you got to put some attention on that here. Cedric's going to be battling the 99 here on the bottom, trying to make his way by. He sees, and we see a crash in the rearview mirror. I believe that was Chris Stamper going around, either Clint Cox or Chris Stamper going around, and another caution comes out here. It is going to be the 53 of Chris Stamper here coming into turn 1. Might have just looks like Aaron Kralik got a little tight and ran up into the 53, which is funny because we kind of just saw the same thing, not the running tight, but 53 kind of just came up into the 01, so it's funny to see a little bit of that storyline keep going.
Yeah, it looked like the exact same scenario from the previous incident. I think there might be a little bit of a gotcha payback there.
Yeah, maybe. That honestly might be it. But we usually don't see a lot of that at the Trinity Racing League. But that might have been just a little bit of a gotcha moment for him.
Looks like a lot of the field pitting yet again.
Which is interesting to me. I have a feeling they're going to be going in here for fuel now, because if the fuel run is longer than what I think, they could make it close to the end here with a fuel run. And like I said, I'm not sure on a fuel run here because I'm just an idiot, so I don't remember sometimes. So I'm not sure, but it could make it have them get a lot closer to the end here. Looks like a lot of drivers did end up going into pit lane. It looks like 7 people ended up wanting to stay out here. And honestly, if I'm these guys, I'm one of the 7 people. I don't know about you, but Alex, but I'm definitely one of the 7 people here.
Yeah, I don't know, but this last little bit of the race has looked a lot different from that first big chunk of the race. But this is just exactly what we mean when we say cautions brew cautions. Those first nearly 60 laps were pretty clean for the most part, but here we are.
Yeah, well, here we are at the 4th caution. Like I believe what that was 3 since the restart. So it's definitely a little bit interesting on the caution breeding cautious portion or brewing cautious portion. But one to go on the pace lap here with Cody Reed and Ryan Kelly still holding that front row. Looks like Nolan Hicks was able to move up to that 2nd row. Chris Stitz, I believe, ended up going down pit road, but Nolan Hicks is going to be in the 2nd row with Scott Ricard and Josh Duvall, a name we haven't said much tonight, and Mark Labertone in the 3rd row here tonight. Give a little shout out to our biggest mover here tonight, Larry Yingling. He's going to be up 14 positions here tonight, and then second biggest is going to be Mark Labertone, up 11 positions, both in 6th and 7th respectively. We see Cody Reed hitting the loud pedal here, not getting as good as looks like Ryan Kelly definitely missed a gear there on the restart, and I'm wondering if that's going to cause problems for everybody there. Looks like everybody was able to get through it pretty clean. I thought I saw some contact with Ryan Kelly there on the restart and somebody into his rear end, but looked like he just missed a gear coming off the restart. And even more issues happening off of 3 and 4 as we see the 42 getting dragged along the back stretch and the caution is out. And we've got even more going down on the caution lap. Mike Miller hits that inside wall. Let's see if we can get a view on what happened here. So the yellow flag comes out. I'm trying to see on the timing if we can see anybody getting caught up. Let me see. Hang on. Oh, okay. So here's the 42. Let me go back and go to the 42.
Bunch of different incidents to dive into.
Yeah, it looks like the 42 just didn't want to go to the outside because Chris Stitz was there and Ollie was on his inside. Unfortunately, that got the 42 a little loose and just came up into Chris Stitz and was just dragged along the back stretch of the Phoenix here. But I want to see if I can get a view of what happened with Ryan Kelly.
Yeah, it looked like you said, missed a gear, maybe. I don't think he spun the tires because it looked like he got going at first and then the car just lost momentum. Oh, yeah, I thought I saw somebody smoke the back of him. I wasn't sure because I seen a little bit of smoke after, coming around the turn there.
Oh, not at all what you want to see from number 3 hitting 13. Number 3 and the 7 both getting caught up in that. Both of our number 1 and number 2 in our points positions here. Not what you want to see here in the semifinals at Phoenix Raceway.
Yeah, it looks like the 3 probably got the worst end of that because he was, he had some pretty good momentum built up already when he got to the 13.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could see, I mean, the black smoke immediately started from the 3. And, it took a little bit more time from the 7, but it was just immediate black smoke, and we're going to see both of them in pit lane for over 45 seconds now. That's just going to be a huge race chunker for the number 3 and the number 7. And that brings our attention here to, let me see who's in the 3rd position. That brings our attention here to Scott Ricard, who's in a great position here to get some points and capitalize on the positioning here. We've got him and Ollie Fonseca, who are both 3rd and 4th. And then back in 5th is Noah Steele, who's looking to get some points out here tonight. And this is exactly what I want to see if I'm Scott Ricard or Ollie Fonseca. Both the top 2 drivers are in a bad position now to where their cars have a lot of damage, and we have a lot of time to where we can make up for this.
Yeah, I mentioned quite a bit earlier possibly seeing some championship implications tonight, and we've just seen some.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you kind of spoken into existence. They talk about the broadcaster's curse sometimes, but here we go. Cody Reed hitting the loud pedal, getting a great restart this time from Nolan Hicks. Looks like we're going to be 3 wide going into turn 1 here. Ali Fonseca looking to the inside of Josh Duvall. Josh Duvall thinks that better of it, gets out of the throttle early, gives a little bit of a gap to the other two, and seemed to have figured it out coming out of the corner. And just seeing word from the SDA timing that Thomas Green and Cedric Hunter are both still in pit lane for extended stops. We're going to shift our focus here to the battle between Scott Ricard and Ali Fonseca, since those are the points leaders here. As even though Cody Reed has a pretty a gap that's closing actually to Nolan Hicks, let's shift our focus here. You see Ali Fonseca sending it to the inside of Scott Ricard. Scott Ricard is going to have the defensive line here coming out of 3 and 4 though, and he is able to get past. Still keeping it defensive out of 1 and 2, although Ali Fonseca is able to get past him into the backstretch here at Phoenix Raceway. Now Scott's going to be just looking into making his move and getting past the 24. As we come into lap 79 here, a little bit late, as we've got our halfway bonus sponsor of Apex 50. If you're looking for some fun and relatable sim racing content, SG Racing, as you covered, check out Sam Garcia's Apex 50 on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram for some great racing content there. And I believe we also missed out on our Blazing Fast TV pulsator and grid sponsor. Let me just mention that real quick. If you're looking for a chill, relaxed stream, then head over to Blazing Fast TV on Twitch and YouTube to see a live POV of Dakota Moses as he races, and drop a follow to sub and stay up to date when he goes live and posts some content there. Let's take our attention back here to the race with Ali Fonseca making some moves up to second place here over Nolan Hicks. He's going to be looking to close that gap on Cody Reed here into the around the middle portion, coming into the 2/3 portion of this race. He's going to be trying to be aggressive and get some points here, especially with the 2 points leaders down and out now. We do see Thomas Green is still on pit lane, but Cedric Hunter is out of this race, unfortunately. I believe he has terminal damage, and we're not going to seeing that bright pink number 7 Hello Kitty machine back on track, unfortunately. Shifting back to the race lead, we've got Ali Fonseca in the 24 looking to the bottom of the 25, trying to get to the rear left quarter panel of that car, seeing if he can get a run off the backstretch to get into 3 and 4, a little bit better than the 25. And he is able to get there, getting very, very close to his door, but the 25 is able to prevail on that defensive line. We're going to take a little bit of a break here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Don't worry, the race ain't going nowhere. We're going to still have that up on the other screen, but we're going to take us to commercial for a little bit here. Let's move it over to that.
much later. Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to
goodness.
the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Back to Phoenix Raceway here at the Battle in the Desert 150. Cody Reed still leading the pack here with Ali Fonseca trying to hunt him down. We're on lap 95 here, getting to the closing 55 laps of this race. We're gonna be getting into some action here. Cody Reed's got a pretty comfortable gap here on Ali Fonseca, maybe about 0.3 seconds, and might be closing here. Saw them at a little closer in the commercial transition, but looks to be like Ollie's trying to hunt him down. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, Ollie trying to close in the best he can. It looks like there's not a huge gap once again between the top 5 or top 5, top 6. I saw kind of further up the track, it looks like before too long some lap traffic might play a factor in this battle we've got going on.
Yeah, it's not too far up the road. You see them just entering turn 1 as they're, entering 3 and 4 as they're exiting 1 and 2. You know, the new layout still has me messed up on the corner numbers apparently, but but we see, you know, those lap cars might actually end up being an issue here, because we've seen that the battling does end up slowing cars down a significant amount. So especially if we're seeing these two start a battle here as Ali Fonseca looks to get to his nose to the rear left quarter panel of the 25. As if we start to see a battle here, we might not have to worry about a lap car, but you got to worry about Brandon Gass in the 29 hunting them down in the 3rd place position. Speaking of Brandon Gass, he's going to be in 7th in the points here. If he finishes the race strong, he's actually going to have a good chance at making up some positions here, especially with Thomas Green and Cedric Hunter having a pretty unfortunate race for them. And Brandon Gass is only down 39 points from the lead, so he would be closing the gap a lot here. It would be his last chance to really close the gap, and it's kind of what the 29 needs here tonight. As we see the 3 cars grouped together of the 24, 25, and 29, all the 20s, the battle of the 20s, all just sending it off of 1 and 2, getting as good of a run as they can to get a good entry into 3 and 4 here. As we see Brandon Gass might look to the outside of Ali Fonseca. We've seen the outside line be pretty good at getting the power down off the corner, but then comes the dog leg to where you get a really good run on the inside. So it's kind of like a battle of the 2 evils there. We see Cody Reed electing to defend the top here, probably trying to get as good of a run off the corner as he can, and also guard the 29 at the same time. And it looks like he does, and Ali Fonseca is just going to form up behind the 29 and get into line and really not want to risk blowing those tires away as more than they already have. and we've passed the lap 100 threshold as well. You know, drivers are going to see that themselves. As we see Brandon Gas get into the wall a little bit, brush it a little bit, that's going to give Ali Fonseca a little bit of an advantage on the inside here to get to that rear quarter panel. But looks like Brandon Gas able to get the run off the corner. But like I was saying, we've passed the lap 100 threshold, and you know, a lot of drivers are going to see that and be like, oh, it's time to get aggressive, it's time to move up, it's time to get my positions and get where I'm supposed to be in the race. So you might see a lot more impatience for some of these drivers now, but also on the tail end of that stick, you could see a lot of patience from these drivers until maybe the last 25 laps of the race. Patience out here tonight. It looks like the top four are being real patient with each other now, trying to keep their tires under as much advantage as they can and race as much of their own race as they can here to keep their positions solidified. You see these top four drivers are starting to make a little bit of a gap on Sam Garcia here, and I'm wondering if that's just a testament of speed difference, or if maybe Sam was in a battle earlier and used up some of his tires. But we're seeing the top four drivers starting to get a little bit of a gap here on the middle of the top of the pack. As we come to the closing laps of Phoenix, Alex, how do you usually like to drive this race at this point? I know you don't have too much like simulator experience, but I know you have a lot of NASCAR experience. How do you usually like to drive this part of the race?
I know once we're getting closer to the end here. Time's running out. I'm sure, you know, as these laps tick down, we'll probably start seeing, you know, patience becoming very thin between these drivers with all this close racing. I don't know. I think when it comes, little battle heating up between Hicks and Fonseca back there.
Yeah, it looks like Ollie's being.
Yeah,
I believe Nolan got into the back end of Ollie a little bit. Might have loosened him up after that block, but Ollie's been really aggressive on the blocks here tonight. Doesn't want to lose any positions out here tonight. Get as much of a point advantage as he can here, but it looks like he's going to send it back into pit lane here on an off strategy from the rest of the drivers. You know, it's definitely going to shake things up. You know, if the race ends up going green here to the end of the race, actually, I don't know. If it went green here to the end of the race, that actually might really mess up Ali Fonseca. But if they do end up having a caution, that's going to put Ali Fonseca at a really good advantage here, coming on being on newer tires while the rest have to come into the pit lane. But looking at the relative, it looks like Ollie's just going to be falling back. Unfortunately, that pit lane run seems to be taking him down the positions here. Out of a 14-second stop, going to probably be 4 tires and some fuel. I believe we're having some technical troubles here.
Yeah, I'm still here. I think I'm seeing the same thing you are.
Yeah, I'm going to try to see what that is here. We're gonna go to commercial real quick here.
so much later. Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second spot, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around, we're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh, my
and to the
goodness.
line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
الرحيم.
All right, and we're back after the technical difficulties out here tonight. Sorry about that, but let's get back to the action out here at the Battle in the Desert 150. Let's take our attention back up to the front of the pack with Cody Reed here. Seems to have a pretty sizable gap on Brandon Gass here, and unfortunately we did miss some of the pit cycles here for some of these drivers. It looks like from 11th on back has gone into pit lane already. We saw Scott Ricard going on lap 111. We saw Nolan Hicks going on 116, and on Ollie Fonseca on 109. So we're probably going to see a lot of pit stops from some of these drivers up front here. And yeah, it's definitely going to be that for the rest of the race. But yeah, I'm not sure what happened there with iRacing. I think I may have ran out of storage on my computer or something, but it just didn't want to continue the race. I just had to fix it for you there. But we're back with 30 to go, and Cody Reed is in fact catching some lap traffic now. And Alex was just mentioning that might turn into some issues here for Cody Reed if the lap traffic doesn't want to get out of the way, but seems like he's able to get out of the way and you know, get through the corner, not really be slowed down the lap traffic here. Oh, you can see just how much damage that accident before with the 42, and I believe that was Chris Stitz. You can see how much damage that did to his car there on the rear end of the 42. You know, he's probably not wanting to grip at all through the corners there. Well, here comes Scott Ricard and Ollie Fonseca, both looking to be back on the lead lap here on fresher tires. They both are back on the lead lap here. They're going to be the battle to watch out for here. If Cody Reed does end up coming into pit lane and bringing Josh Canada, Larry Yingling, Josh Sawyer, all of them with him, this is going to be the battle to look at here with Ollie Fonseca and Scott Ricard. I'm going to flip the camera over to them. So these two here would effectively be the race lead, I believe, if everybody else in front of them does end up coming in. And it does look like it with Brandon Gass going in this lap. But these two here will be the effective race lead once the others come down into pit lane. And honestly, this is kind of a power position for the number 24 to be in right now, moving back up the pack on fresh tires while the others have not gone in yet. It's kind of the best thing that Ollie wants to see here. Wants Cody Reed to stay out as long as possible, lose as much time as possible, so Ollie and Scott can gain as much time as they can. And that seems like what's happening here. And because once Cody goes in, he's going to lose maybe about 40 seconds in the pit lane. And I believe, yeah, he's only 26 seconds out front, so he's really going to lose a lot of time here going into pit lane. And that gap is ever so slightly closing every lap here at the Battle of the Desert 150. Both these drivers here are going to be probably looking the most at saving their tires here, even though they're right with each other about with the effective race lead. I mean, if I'm Scott Ricard here, I'm just sitting behind Ollie and trying to keep as much time consistent between him, not really trying to gain, not trying to lose. I really just want to keep a consistent gap between me and the 24 and focus on saving my tires more than him. That's the most important thing for the 05 right now, because if he is able to save the tires a little better than the 24, he's going to have that advantage coming to the finish line. You see him brush the wall a little bit coming off of 1 and 2. It's kind of not a good sign, especially talking about tires now. That's kind of a sign of the car getting a little bit tight, or he might have just gotten the corner a little wrong. But we see him get into the wall in 3 and 4 as well. Gotta wonder if the car's starting to get tight now off those switch tires now, Alex. Both these drivers really battling it out, and Scott Ricard washes up into the 24 of Ali Fonseca in 1 and 2. Not going to be happy with that, as the 24 definitely compromised the corner a little bit, but it looks like Scott Ricard might have let off a little bit, gave the 24 a bit of an advantage on the backstretch. Give him a little sorry about that, but seems like they're both able to sort it out and keep it clean from there on. But you know, if I was a 24, I would definitely be keeping that in the mental notes, and with how he's washing up on the inside already. With only 19 to go, you know, you got to start to wonder if Cody Reed's good till the end. Cody Reed might have enough fuel till the end here, but I don't believe so, because the last time he pit was lap 54, and I know they don't have 100 laps of fuel in here. If they do, I'm completely out of sync with iRacing.
Makes you wonder if he's trying to hold out just as long as possible in the hopes of a late race caution.
You know, that's what I'm thinking. And we see Nolan Hicks here entering this battle with 5 lap better tires than Ali Fonseca and Scott Ricard, and he's gonna just be freight training through them. You know, the tire difference here at Phoenix is so significant. Especially with Ollie and Scott Ricard taking hard licks into the outside wall there. Not what you want to see late into the race. But Nolan Hicks in a great spot now. If the top 3 top 4 end up going into pit lane, you know, Nolan Hicks is in the best position here, obviously being the race leader, but also on some of the best tires in the race, and also not going to have a bunch of time to eat up. So, you know, if anything, I'm thinking Nolan Hicks is in the best position here as opposed to Cody Reed. and Nolan Hicks is just constantly making that gap bigger and bigger between Ali Fonseca and Scott Ricard. That gap is now, I believe, up to almost a second now between Nolan Hicks and Scott Ricard. It's just constantly climbing. It just goes to show how important the tires can be at a track like this here, at a very flat track like Phoenix, and especially in a corner like 1 and 2 where the whole corner just constantly shreds those right fronts. It just shows how important it is to keep the tires in good condition, as well as not spinning the car with them, as we see Cody Reed entering pit lane now. He's got about a 20-second gap on Nolan Hicks here, who will end up being the effective race lead. But we also have names like Josh Kanata, who we haven't set out here tonight, who pit on lap almost 70, who are now out in the front, keeping that time gap as big as it can be. He's got Larry Yingling maybe 5 seconds behind him, trying to make up some of that gap. But we're gonna definitely see some of these cars go in pit lane here, but you gotta remember, it's about a 40-second pit stop. So overall, other than not the actual pit stop itself, the whole stop down pit lane is about 40 seconds. So, and looking at Cody Reed right now, 47.5. It's not enough of a gap for Josh Kanata to keep the lead after coming out of pit lane on Scott Ricard and Ali Fonseca. Matter of fact, Josh Kanata doesn't even have enough gap to come out in front of Brandon Gass. But we're going to switch our attention back over to Nolan Hicks, who is still trying to outrun Scott Ricard and Ali Fonseca, but I believe some of the tire degradation is starting to equal out here. Let's switch over to him. Yeah, Nolan Hicks running a little bit wide on the entry of 1 and 2, getting the car rotated off the corner though, able to keep some speed off, and now behind him, Scott Ricard is going to be battling a lap car trying to get around him, and that's not going to help the time that he's trying to make up on Nolan Hicks here. But with only 10 to go, it brings up an interesting idea. If Josh Kanata saved enough, he might be in a really, really good position here to take the race win. Nolan Hicks still 18 seconds behind, and if Josh Kanata is able to keep it clean and keep the revs up with the fuel, he'll be prevailing as a race champion here tonight. Coming on to the 8 to go with Josh Kanata in the lead. Let's flip our attention back to Josh. There's so much of a gap between everyone. I'm trying to find a battle to lock our eyes on. It looks like Ali Fonseca and Josh Duvall are getting into it. Let's flick our eyes over there. Yeah, it looks like Ollie's going to be on the defensive here of Josh Duvall here, going all the way down into the dog leg, staying right in front of his bumper here, going right up to the top of the corner. Ollie's being real aggressive with the Blockster tonight, and it's honestly helping him a bunch. But we're probably going to see some impatience from Josh Duvall here in these next few laps, trying to get around the 24. Josh Duvall is on 1 lap better tires than Ali Fonseca here. And actually he's on about 20 laps better than Ali Fonseca here tires, and we might see him steamroll past in the few if he was able to keep those tires in check. But as this battle continues to fan out, I'm going to switch our attention back over to Josh Kanata in the front here, who's now got almost a 7-second gap on Larry Yingling out here tonight. We got to wonder if Josh Kanata might have ran the strategy right out here tonight. He's only got almost 5 to go here, and he last pit on lap 70. So he honestly might have enough fuel to go to the end and go the distance. So we might see a great showing out here from the 16 car, Josh Kanata. as we see Cody Reed right behind him trying to get back from being a lap down. If he gets off from being a lap down and there's a caution, you know, it might put him in a decent position to gain some amount of positions here on the end on the final restart, but doesn't look like that's going to happen here with 4 to go here at the Battle in the Desert 150. You see Josh Kanata still keeping that sizable gap on the number 67 of Larry Yingling. Almost 7 seconds now. It's been going up these past 2 laps with now 3 to go here at the Battle in the Desert 150. Josh Kanata's looking like he's going to be in the position to win this race here tonight. Not at all what I was expecting, but it's definitely, it definitely might be the case here. As the 16 takes turns 3 and 4, coming to take the 2 to go here at the Battle in the Desert 150. You know, I've got to give it to Josh, man. I would have never thought that coming in on lap 70 would have been able to keep me to the end, but he had the pit strategy, he had the saving tires, he had the saving fuel. He seems like he did it all right here at Phoenix tonight. And unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of broadcast time with him to see how he was doing it, but now he's getting his well-deserved broadcast time here with a 7-second gap on second place, with coming to the final lap here at the Battle in the Desert 150. Taking the white flag here is Josh Kanata in the 16 car. Be very sharp through 1 and 2, trying to just keep the car under him. Don't want to make any mistakes here, although it would be very, very difficult to make some mistakes here on the final lap, but especially with that much of a gap. But going to be fine rounding the corners of 3 and 4 for the last time. Josh Kanata is going to be your race winner here at the Battle in the Desert 150. Looks like Larry Yingling is going to bring up second place, then Josh Stoyer, Nolan Hicks, and then Scott Ricard rounding out your top 5 here. What a race out here tonight at the Battle in the Desert 150, with Josh Kanata stealing it from him out here tonight. I was really expecting to see Ali Fonseca or Scott Ricard, you know, come out and go crazy tonight, but no, Josh Kanata, he really came through and did it. Goes to show how important some pit strategy can be here at Phoenix Raceway as he goes down for a celebration here. What a well-deserved finish for that 16 car here at Phoenix tonight. Great job. All right, but that brings us to a very important time here. Let's try to get some drivers out here for a interview, and we'll see if we can get our podium sitters out here tonight. All right, well, that brings us for some time for some interviews with the top 3 drivers here. I'm gonna bring Josh Sawyer here in a moment, and we're gonna catch up with him here. How you doing out here, Josh?
I'm doing great.
How was Phoenix?
It was really rough at first. You know, we got spun out there by, I believe it was Thomas Green. Got bumped right in the back, spun us around, managed to keep it off the wall, and then from there on out, it was a struggle of a race, but we ended up there at the end.
Yeah, I saw you go around earlier in the race. I was thinking it was a product of some of the cold tires, you know, because a lot of people had gone in recently, but I was thinking it was a product of the cold tires. But yeah, you were able to keep it keep it up there in the front of the pack after locking it down off that corner. It was honestly a good showing for that number 19 out here tonight.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it feels good.
Hell yeah, that's all that matters, you know. And what are some of your tips here out here for Phoenix? What did you do out here to keep that number 19 clean?
Just stay out of trouble. Follow behind Larry. He kind of guided us through there the whole race. Stayed downshifting just about the entire race. I know others were staying in fourth gear majority of the race, but I felt pretty at ease with downshifting into third just about every corner. So I think that helped us there a little bit.
Yeah, I heard some drivers downshifting in practice and I thought to bring that up to Thomas in a pre-race meeting, but I ended up forgetting. But that's still just a great showing for that 19 car out here tonight. Anyone you want to thank or shout out here?
Oh yeah, gotta shout out Larry for the opportunity. Really excited to be driving this 19 car, and of course Ryan and Chris, the whole team, Yin Yang. Very excited for next season.
Absolutely, man. You guys got a good thing going, you know. With Larry, you and Chris, that's something good to think about for next season. But hey, I'm gonna let you go celebrate. Let you celebrate with Larry. I'm gonna have to talk to Larry for a bit, but I know you're gonna want to celebrate with him, so I'm gonna bring you back down to your team. Thanks for talking with us, Josh.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
How are you, Larry? How's that second place here at Phoenix tonight?
I feel very lucky. I had a paper bag over me after qualifying last. I thought top 15 was not in my future, and then there's a bunch of stuff happened, and somehow it put me where I can easily make it on fuel and get this second.
Yeah, that's something Alex and I were touching on in the broadcast. We were just saying how crazy it is, how cautions definitely brew cautions here at Phoenix, and like the race was very clean in the beginning, and it seemed like everybody was pretty filed out and respectful, and then once that first caution hit, it was just caution, you know. So it's kind of crazy that you're able to bring it up out here to the front after all those. And I was also going to ask you, how was that pit strategy, man? Like how did that end up going out? What was the fuel run out here tonight?
Well, there's two different fuel runs, if he shifted or not shifted. I kind of shifted to start the last run, and then most of the time I was staying at fourth, which made me, I think, over half lap to the good here. When I pitted there, I was thinking we're close enough to make it, maybe, with my speed. I was way back there. And then we had a quick caution, so I thought, okay, everyone's easily going to make it now. And I guess not many people had that thought.
Yeah, it seems like you, Josh, and well, both Joshes were both like the kind of outliers in that group, and I really was thinking that you guys might not have enough till the end, but you guys proved me wrong.
Yeah, we were definitely close. There'd be one lap I'll shift just to see my fuel, and then I'll immediately be a full lap to the not good. So I had to stay in fourth for me.
Yeah, that's honestly real different. I've honestly haven't. I might have to run Phoenix a little more, get that fuel strategy going, see what happens with it, because that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely never had that happen.
Yeah, but yeah, hey, congratulations to that number 6-7 machine, man. Hey, is there anyone you wanna thank or shout out?
Definitely my teammates this race, Ryan Kelly. He had a fun restart. Chris Stitz and Joshua Sawyer. My sponsors, Port City Cards on Instagram, and cnorsephoto.com for event photography. And big shout out to you guys for broadcasts. I love watching your guys' broadcasts. I'm sad to see you guys go after the season, but hope to maybe race in the league on your broadcast in the future.
Yeah, man. Hey, you might see me down here in that Trinity racing field next season. You don't know. I might be down there, but hey, I appreciate you coming up here and chatting with us, Larry. I'm gonna let you go celebrate with your team.
I appreciate it. Have a good one.
And that brings us to our race leader, Josh Kanata. Let's bring him up here and have a little bit of a conversation with him. Josh Kanata, how you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Pretty good. It was honestly dope to see you out here win, showing the league admin, showing them how it's done here at Phoenix.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a field strategy win for sure. I was surprised, and a lot of those guys peeled off when they did. I definitely had to save a lot at the beginning of the run, but ended up maybe having, I don't know, half a lap left towards the end. Doesn't matter though. I'll take it however I can get it.
Yeah, I was definitely confused too, seeing some people pull off, because I wasn't really familiar with the fuel run out here tonight. So it was interesting to hear. Larry told me that shifting honestly made the run shorter than staying in fourth gear, which makes sense, but it's just interesting to see how different people's strategy were for it. And I really didn't think that you guys had enough till the end. You, Larry, and Josh coming in around the same laps, and you guys ended up proving me wrong.
Yeah, it was definitely tight. We figured if you stayed in fourth gear, you'd have maybe around 80 laps if you maybe backed off the corners. I knew as hard as those guys are running, though, obviously they were downshifting to get the run off. They were just battling hard. I knew a few of them up there, hadn't pitted that last caution, so I knew a few of them were going to come down. I wasn't expecting the whole field, though. I was figuring, all right, no matter where we finish, we're going to make it on fuel, and if someone stays out, so be it. I was definitely surprised it was only the three of us, but definitely thankful here.
Yeah, this was a great show. Now, Alex actually had something to ask you here. I'm going to switch it over to him.
Hey, Josh, this is Alex up here in the booth. Congrats on the win tonight. How are you feeling after an event like this? And more importantly, your win number 1 for the season.
Yeah, it's definitely a good feeling. It's not too often winning league races, and especially, tonight definitely had its ups and downs, but I couldn't be happier. I'm very thrilled about this and looking to maybe carry it through to the end of the season, and looking forward to the next one as well.
How would you describe, let's say, like the first half of this race versus the second half from your point of view?
First, maybe 50 laps or so, we had that long green flag run. Everyone was kind of figuring out their stuff. I was just kind of hanging back, trying to save the tire. And we had that, bit of a melee there for the next, 20 laps or so, where we just kind of kept wrecking, people money shifting and all that. Definitely just figuring out saving the right front was important, and then figuring, you could save that little bit extra, just by saving the tire. I was staying in fourth and figured we could run a little bit further than we thought, and definitely paid dividends here at the end. Absolutely. I mean, appreciate you guys broadcasting this, and everybody who watches. We can't do it without you guys. Means a lot. All the guys that run, every week here. It's a great group of guys. We definitely have our moments sometimes where things get a little feisty out on track, but it's totally, it's a ton of fun, and love doing it every week. And hopefully, I'll see you guys again soon.
Yeah, I mean, hey, sometimes you got to do that with the guys. Sometimes you got to get a little white knuckles out with the guys and elbows out. But hey, I'm gonna let you go celebrate with your team, man. I hope you have a great rest of the night, Josh.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, and that brings us to the end here at Phoenix Raceway. Let me see if I can get this figured out, since I'm still new to SDK. All right, so we've got our race results here. Let me go back up to the beginning. All right, here we go. We've got Josh Kanata finishing in first place in that 16 machine. We just talked to him out here. Then Larry Yingling in second, Josh Sawyer in third, Nolan Hicks in fourth, Scott Ricard in fifth, Ali Fonseca in sixth, Josh Duvall in seventh, Cody Reed in eighth, Brandon Gass in ninth, and Samuel Garcia in 10th. Alex, if you want to end up doing 11th, you can.
We got Chris Stamper finishing it off in P11, Mike Miller 12th, Mark Labertone 13th, Chris Stitz P14, Cedric Hunter 15th, Thomas Green P16, Ryan Kelly 17th, Aaron Krolick P18, Noah Steele 19th, Clint Cox 20th, and Thomas Walter in 21st.
All right, and that closes out for us here on a Monday night at Phoenix Raceway. Hopefully me and Alex were able to do a pretty good job out here tonight. I know we were missing Tom, but hopefully we were able to do a pretty good job and put on a decent show for you guys out here tonight. Definitely a little slip ups, but it's all right. I was able to get around them. But thank you guys for tuning in on another Monday night to the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network, and we will 100% see you guys next Monday for the finals at Phoenix.